Hey model fans, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. And if you saw my last video of when I went to pick up my new model, the Aston Martin DB5, then you'll know that I promised a review and today is that day. So today I'm going to be doing the full review on the Aston Martin DB5, which is the James Bond Goldfinger edition. So you've already seen it a little bit, so without any further ado, let's jump right into the full review of the car. Now I'm going to start this review off a little differently than most. Now, you guys probably know I don't usually show the box because the boxes are usually just kind of boring. They usually just have the standard AUTOart. But because this is the special Bond edition, we can see there, so it says Goldfinger, but it's actually, the GO is actually a 60 because this car was originally launched last year in 2024 for 60 years of the movie Goldfinger, in which the DB5 first made its debut on screen and became probably the most famous James Bond car. And then on the one end flap here, of course, we have the 007 logo, Aston Martin DB5. And on this side, you just have kind of the standard AUTOart box art with, again, the name and then obviously the product code and everything up top. But yeah, it's really cool how they did this with the Goldfinger 60 years and how the GO is in the 60. I thought there's a really cool detail, and it's little things like this, which is why I love the brand AUTOart, because I feel like their attention to detail is just always spot on. So that's the actual box, I guess, box cover. And then, of course, being the James Bond car, we have some goodies in the box that we'll talk about. And then, of course, I will show you how they work on the car itself. So we take out the styrofoam piece. I should mention the cars are sitting over there. We'll get to it. Don't mind my coffee. Anyways, the styrofoam shell is pretty standard AUTOart, but if I just open it up, of course, we have all the mounting hardware inside. Don't really pay attention to that. But on the top here, of course, as standard, we have the key that comes with all your AUTOart models. And then we have a bit of tape along the top here because we have in this section, I won't take out right now, but we have the roof panel for the ejector seat is up there. And then speaking of ejector seats, in this little cavity here, we actually have the passenger seat. So again, don't worry, I will take these out and I'll show you how they fit in the actual model. But yeah, really cool detail there that you get all that stuff in the box. And to help with opening up some of the gadgets and things that this car has, you do have a pair of tweezers on the bottom, which again, I would recommend if you get one of these models, I would recommend you use this. I thankfully already have a pair out from my 918 model, so I'm just going to use those. They're the exact same thing. But yeah, definitely highly recommend if you get one of these, unless you have really, really tiny fingers, use the tweezers because it's going to save you a bit of time and some potential heartbreak in maybe breaking off one of the very tiny pieces on the model. But anyways, enough about the boring box. Let me get all this stuff out to show you, and then we'll jump into the actual car. And boom, here we go. Here is our Aston Martin DB5 from the movie Goldfinger. Now, as always in these videos, I always like to give a quick little overview of the actual car model itself. So Aston Martin DB5 was developed and produced from 1963 to 1965. It launched as a 1963 model here. The DB5 was fitted with a 4-liter straight-six engine, made 282 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 7.1 seconds, which by today's standards is obviously very slow, but in 1963 would have been actually fairly quick for the time. So there we go. And it has a top speed of over 150 miles an hour. And of course, as it sits here, the DB5, of course, is best known for its role as Bond's car, first making its debut in the 1964 movie Goldfinger. And it appeared in various other Bond films, most recently in the latest movie, No Time to Die. Skyfall, Thunderball, a couple other movies over the years, and is, in my opinion, probably the most iconic James Bond car, one of the most iconic movie cars, and by that right, one of the most iconic cars in the world, I think. I would argue, at least personally, that the DB5 is one of the most beautiful cars ever built. I think a lot of people would agree with me. You may or may not. That's all a matter of opinion. I think generally Aston Martins are kind of regarded as one of the more beautiful cars made just across the entire range. Maybe some of the modern ones, maybe not so much, but as a general rule, Aston Martins have always been good looking. To dive specifically into this Bond version, so as I was mentioning, we have a hole in the roof there, obviously, so that's where your little roof panel would go. So just to show you guys, we have our roof panel here. So that just effectively just gently slots in. Just kind of put it there. You're going to feel it slot in. And then you have a bit more of a complete roof. Now, the one thing I will say, it was kind of funny that I guess if you just bought this car and I guess if you had no idea what James Bond is or what this car is and you bought it and you come with, like, your model just comes with a hole in the roof, you might be a little bit confused, but it's kind of funny. It's cool that when you actually know what this car is, it's really cool that they have this detail on there that you can actually take the roof on and off. I'm actually going to just take it back off for a quick second. Again, this is where your key is going to come in handy, so you can kind of lift up the edge there and either take it off or completely drop it in the car like I just did. So yeah, you don't want to actually drop your roof in the car, but I guess if you do, oh well, just open the door. And again, as I mentioned, it comes with the actual ejector seat, so you can see there, there's just obviously a loose panel, and oh no, someone has been ejected from the car. But as I said, they do have the seat there, so you can either drop it in through the roof, or I'm just going to go from the side because it's a little bit easier. You can just go in and you should feel it line up. It has a bit of a magnet as well, so it'll kind of guide you, and then boom, your seat slots in, and then you have a proper two-seat Aston Martin again. Or then of course you can just reverse the process, gently go in and pop your seat out. Now, just for the purposes of the rest of the review, I'm going to leave those out. But there you go. There's a quick guide for how to, I guess, install your roof piece and put your ejector seat in. And on the topic of the interior of this vehicle, we can take a closer dive look in there. And of course, being the Bond car, we have all the little gadgets. So we have the radar on the screen there. Of course, the DB5 was only came in a manual, so we have our manual shifter there. All right, so hopefully you guys can see well enough from this angle. So of course, we can get a little bit better look, so you can see the radar screen there in the middle that of course Bond uses. Now the controls above are still what you would find on the standard DB5. So right above the radar there, you have, I believe, your climate control systems. Obviously, you have a clock in the middle there to tell your time, and a couple other little switches. And of course, the dashboard is just standard Aston Martin DB5. And of course, you get a little bit better look at our gear shifter there. But given that this is, as I mentioned, obviously the Bond car, you might know that if you flip up, if I can get this gently, if we flip up the center console, there we have all your controls for all the different gadgets that this car is equipped with. So, again, things like obviously the bulletproof shield on the back, which we'll take a look at. We have the machine guns at the front. We have the spikes that come out of the rear wheels. Of course, this model isn't equipped with it, but one of those buttons there would be also for the oil slick system, obviously to help get rid of any pursuers that are behind you. And also, I guess, the machine guns in the rear as well. And of course, the ejector seat button, which unfortunately we can't see. But if you guys have watched the movie or you don't know, the ejector seat button is actually inside the top of the gear shift lever there. So Bond or whoever's driving would just go ahead, flip up the top of this, push the red button, and then ejecto seato right out of the top. And since we're here, let's take a little bit better look at the interior. Of course, we can see there the parking brake, which would be on the outside because there's no really room in the middle. So you have your parking brake there. Again, even down to the details on the seats. Now, the driver's seat doesn't move at all, but even the details there with obviously the mechanism to move the seat forward. The DB5 is a bit of a 2+2, so we have rear seats there. Not sure how much space you actually have back there, but it looks like it might be some decent space. Obviously, if you're in the passenger seat and you've ejected someone, your passenger there would have plenty of room. And there's one more thing to show you on here. Now, I'm not going to waste time on camera because it might be a little bit difficult, but well, I'll try quickly. But also, one of the gadgets that Bond had in this car was he had a telephone, which was hidden in the door pocket, which is right behind this panel here. So I had a bit of a difficult time the other day trying to get it open, so I won't bore you on camera because it's going to take a while. But effectively, you want to just kind of push this panel door down or to the side, and then you're going to get to the phone. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, but yeah, effectively you just kind of push this panel at the bottom. If the panel flips out this way, then you can get to the phone. So bear with me a second as I open this and I'll show you what the phone looks like. I won't admit how long that took me to get the panel open, but again, you want to be careful. Now, I don't know if it's just because it's brand new, it's a little stiff, which is a good thing. But anyways, here is the phone that we have in there. So again, you pop the little flap down and you can use the tweezers to kind of unseat it. You can see that little, that little bump inside is where the receiver would actually sit. Then if we gently pull, it has a bit of a wire. So of course, I mean, the door would be closed, but you can see you can pull the wire out actually a decently long way. And then of course, if Bond is driving, he can pick up the phone and I guess talk to Q or M or whoever it is. But yeah, again, just another little cool detail. So yeah, we've seen the interior, we've seen the little button for all the gadgets. So I'm just going to go ahead, button everything up here, and then we'll go back to the outside of the car and take a look at all the actual gadgets on here because this model is so cool. And just to demonstrate the mechanism quickly, so there you go, boom, pop it up, and then your phone is hidden inside the door. All right, so since we've seen inside the control panel for all the gadgets, let's go through them all. We'll basically start at the front and we'll work our way to the back. So of course, I've already shown the ejector seat and the roof panel that comes off, but one of the other party tricks that this car had, that Bond had on the car, was that it had a rotating license plate, so that obviously you can flip to different plates and Bond could try to hide and get away. So we have what I think is the most famous plate, and I think I'm going to leave it on. So we have the BMT 216A, which is the British registration. And then if we gently flip it with this, we have LU 6789, which I don't remember, somewhere in Europe, Switzerland, France, maybe, movies. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then we have, this one, we have 4711 EA62, which was, I don't remember where that registration was. And of course, we have the rotating plates on the front and on the back as well. So as I said, I'm going to leave it on the BMT 216A. And I guess while we're here, let's talk about the DB5 itself. So we have kind of that classic design Aston grille, which is basically carried over onto every model. Obviously, the headlights are presented very nicely. We have the badging, the Aston Martin Wings badge there, which is presented nicely if the camera would like to focus. So yeah, we have the wing badge there, which is awesome. We have the word Superleggera written on the bonnet there, which I'm not sure if you guys can see, but right there we have the words Superleggera written. Of course, we have the little scoop in the hood to help to aid with some airflow. And I guess since we're here, before we get to the gadgets, let's just open up the bonnet. Again, it has a front hinge opening, and we can take a look at that 4-liter straight six, which is presented very nicely on this model. Get a little bit of a better look there. So yeah, the engine work on here, well, like all AUTOart models, the engine is presented very nicely, at least, and the fact that you can actually see it, because 1960s, not your modern car, which just has plastic coverings over everything. And even, on the top of the bonnet, we got a bit of class. It's not carbon fiber, but we have a nice little pattern weave, which hopefully shows on camera here. We got a nice little weave pattern on the inside of the hood. And yeah, really cool. I guess I'm building, well, I guess a little collection. I guess Aston Martins, they all have a front hinge hood. So that's cool to see, again, the consistency from something from 63 when this first came out, all the way up to the modern stuff. But anyways, talking gadgets on this car, we at the front here, we have the extendable, I guess, bumper pieces here. So we can extend the driver's side and the passenger side. So here we have the extended bumper pieces, so you can ram somebody and not obviously damage your beautiful Aston Martin. So we can put those back in, and these you can just kind of use your fingers for. You don't necessarily need the tweezers, but where you are going to want the tweezers for this is coming here. So here's where we have a little machine gun. So the little lights here flip down. Again, this is a very delicate piece, so use your tweezers. Be careful with it. It just kind of hooks down. And then right on the inside here, we have our machine gun bits that can pull out. So again, just bear with me here for a second, guys. There we go. Hope you guys can see it. We have one little machine gun, I guess muzzle, as it were, popping out, and then we can do the same on the other side as well. I'll do that later, and I'll just show you guys. But yeah, so you can pull the machine guns out of both lights at the front, and then obviously to put them away, just go ahead, gently slot it back in, and lift up the light piece, and you'll kind of feel it slot in. You won't hear a click, but you'll kind of feel it slot in, and boom, there we go. And then not much on the side, obviously, just a beautiful side profile that is the DB5. We got that little cutout on the side there, I guess, to help the air come out of the wheels. Again, side profile of this car looks absolutely amazing. And then if we come to the back here, as I mentioned, we have the little spikes that come out of the wheels. So you can see kind of that spiked hubcap design that's on the front and the back. And then the very middle piece, again, using our tweezers gently, we can extend that out. So obviously if you're trying to fight off the bad guys and pop a tire, you just extend that, and as the wheel spins, this spins as well. And of course we have the spikes on the end, so that's going to obviously eat someone's tires or into someone's wheels. I'm just going to use my fingers gently here. We'll go ahead and we can pull out the other side. So there you go. And only the back ones go. The front ones don't come out at all. So don't try to pull on the front wheels at all, because nothing's going to come out and you could just damage the wheel of your model. So there we go, guys. We have the rear spikes. And then to put them back in, you just gently give them a push until they seat themselves in, and it looks like nothing ever happened. Now, moving on to the back bumper, again, we have the extendable bumper pieces here, so we can pull them out. They don't pull out very far, so as soon as you pull them and they don't want to go anymore, don't try to force them, because you're just going to rip them out of the bodywork, which is no good. So we have the rear extendable pieces. Again, as I mentioned before, at the front, we have the plate that flips around. So just to demonstrate on the back, just go ahead, use either the key or your tweezers. You can flip it. Again, let's make it even. We have, I guess, the famous GB sticker that Bond or whoever, maybe Q, I don't know, puts on the back of the car. And then we have back here the cutout, as you can see, for the bulletproof shield. Now, to extend the bulletproof shield, what you want to do is gently open up the trunk, and then you can see there's a little piece there. That's where your shield sits when it's down. And then, again, not much trunk space in here, but because Bond car, and we can see also the controls for some of the other bits in the car that, of course, Q would have put in. So there's some air compressors there for, I don't know if the suspension or maybe to extend the rear spikes, and some other little bits there for working things. I think that's probably the oil slick system. But when you're here, sorry about it being a little bit dark, but you just want to take your AUTOart key, and there's two tabs on either side. You can just kind of gently stick the key into the tabs, and you're going to push up the shield. So I apologize if it's a little dark to see here, everyone. But yeah, just take your key, gently push up on both edges. And at this point, if we close the trunk back down, you're going to see the piece starting to pop up. So at this point, you can either use your tweezers or just use your fingers and pull it up. Whoop. You have to pull it up a little bit with a slight bit of force, and I do mean a slight bit, otherwise it's just going to pop back down. And then once you've popped it up, boom, there we go. You have your bulletproof shield. So obviously, if you're driving behind the car from this angle, you're trying to shoot at whoever's inside. You can see how it completely covers the back window, so you're all nice and protected. I'm going to take a look at it from the side. It's a very thin piece, of course, but well executed on the model. And it actually is a little piece of metal, so it mimics the, I guess, real thing, as real as it is, nicely. And then when you want to put it back down, you basically just gently push it back down, and then just kind of gently slot it in until you see that it sits nice and flush. And also, as I mentioned on the back of the car here, guys, you can open up these rear lights. So it's only going to be, it's only going to be the orange top light that flips up. So don't try and pull out the clear light or the red light, the brake light, or the turn signal. It's only going to be these orange, or I guess amber lights that flip up. So either using your tweezers or your key for the car, you can gently go in there at the bottom, and you can lift that up. Now nothing does extend out the back there, but you can see there how that's slightly lifted up. Again, it happens on both sides. So just go ahead and gently open up this one. So you can see there, you can open up both the rear lights. And now I'm actually, off the top of my head, I don't actually remember what system comes out there. I don't remember if that's oil slick or the spikes or the rear machine guns. But anyways, you can open those up on the back, and I think that pretty much does it for the gadgets that are actually workable on this model. Then again, if we turn the model up or on its side gently, briefly, we can see all the exhaust work. Obviously, we can see the transmission presented there, the cutout, or I guess the box for the spare tire. On the back, we can see the exhaust work. And then if we look right here, you see the actual little pipe. That, of course, on, I guess, the real Bond car is where the oil slick system, so that's where the oil would be pumped out. So again, obviously, we can't eject oil out of our model car. But if you're wondering why, on the back of this, there looks like 3 exhaust pipes. So there's actually 2 exhaust pipes on the far left there. The other little pipe there is where the oil would come out of the back of Bond's car, where, again, he's trying to get rid of anybody pursuing him. There we go, everyone. There's kind of the full overview of this car, showing off all the gadgets and giving you guys a little bit of a tutorial on how they all actually work. And again, super cool. I guess I should mention I'm a big James Bond fan, so when I saw that AUTOart was coming out with a DB5 and then B, they were making the specific Bond DB5, I knew I had to pick up one of these at some point. Just such an iconic car, such an iconic movie as well. Again, Bond, one of my favorite movie franchises, so it was a bit of a no-brainer. And yeah, I'm not even sure actually how I'm going to display this. I don't know if I want to actually put the seat in or keep the seat out, keep the roof panel off. I kind of like having it like this, or maybe I'll put everything together and then it'll be cool to kind of dismantle it and show people. I'm not sure. I'll decide that off camera. Obviously, I won't bore you guys with it, but yeah, overall impression of this model. I guess a bit biased as I love the car and the franchise, but again, as I say every time with AUTOart, very well executed model. You know, everything fits where it should be. All the little details are there for the actual car, being the fact that it's an Aston Martin DB5 and the Bond car. Maybe at some point I'll get just a regular DB5 just to compare, but the regular DB5 is effectively the same, obviously just with no cutouts in the roof and no seat missing and on all the other good stuff. But yeah, well executed model by AUTOart. You know, the front detail is very good. Obviously everything works. All the extendable bits work. Of course, we can pull out all the gadgets. All that works well. The one thing I will mention, that if you guys are going to get one of these models, especially on the front here for the front machine guns, be very careful if you're opening and closing this piece, because it is just a little plastic piece, and I fear it's something that could wear out over time. So maybe don't open and close it so much, or if you do, again, be very, very careful, be very gentle. Don't like kind of yank it out. Don't pull too hard, just kind of gently guide it down and it will guide itself. Same goes with the rear lights and then really everything on this. You know, it's one of those things you want to preserve the model long term, make sure everything works well. But yeah, again, overall thoughts, I love this thing. I think it's going to sit well in the collection. I have another classic car in the collection as well, which was something that I kind of always wanted. This joins the rest of my Aston Martins with, who knows, maybe more in future. You never know. But yeah, I feel like at this point I'm just rambling to you guys for no reason. So as always, if you guys like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Remember, again, if you're shopping for a new model car, I bought this from my friend Keith, Keith's Model Cars. Use my discount code Ducky10 at checkout to save yourself 10% on any model purchases. Follow me on Instagram to know when, to see when I post new things, new models coming in, new video drops, new whatever is just going on with me and the world of model cars. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye. And I guess just a little bit of a side note, if this isn't your favorite James Bond car, let me know down in the comments what your favorite car is from the James Bond franchise. Obviously, there's been a lot of Aston Martins. The DB5 is probably the most iconic, but there's been some other cars in there as well. So yeah, in the comments below, let me know what your favorite James Bond car is of all time from the franchise. And if you've never seen a James Bond movie, what are you doing? Go watch them. They're great movies.